The Brooklyn Nets make yet another move and add forward Ricky Council IV to their roster. What does this mean as training camp and the preseason continue to inch closer as the regular season feels like it's just right around the corner? Alongside Connor Long, I'm your host, Josh Woolever, for the Brooklyn Boys Show. On your way into the building, make sure you drop down below this video, smash that like button, hit subscribe, get your questions, comments, thoughts into the chat, and we will answer those in just a couple of minutes regarding the Nets' latest move. But first, Connor Long, how you doing today?
Josh, doing well. Interesting day in Nets land today. Something to talk about. We'll break it down here on the show, but interesting move for Brooklyn. Intrigued to see how it affects the team's plans now because roster's jam-packed entering training camp. I expect some heads to roll, so a lot to get into.
Absolutely, as a Nets beat reporter put it, you got 19 of your roster spots heading into camp filled up. That would be 20 if Cam Thomas ends up re-signing after the Nets make the move of picking up Ricky Council IV forward on a one-year deal after he was waived by Philadelphia, signed a 4-year contract a couple years ago, but does not end up sticking it out in Philadelphia. Just your initial reactions, Mr. Connor Long, and what are you thinking about this deal? Does he end up making a big impact on the Nets this season?
Which reporter reported first off that the Nets have 19 of the 20 spots filled up?
I think it was Slater.
So Eric Slater, Clutch Points, was the one who put that report out. Interesting. I knew the roster was jam-packed. Didn't know that they only have one spot left, and that can obviously be filled up entering training camp now with Cam Thomas. Most likely, the delay with the contract continues to ongo, but he can certainly fill up that spot any day now. I think when you look at a guy like Council, this is an intriguing move because he's still on the younger side. He's entering his third season in the league. He's still, again, very, very young, 23 years old. Someone who's coming off a rough season, 73 games, 12 starts, averaged 7.3 points per game, 2.9 rebounds, and very, very inefficient shooting-wise, 38.2 from inside the field, and then 25.8 from beyond the arc. A steep decline from his rookie year where, he didn't average as many points, but his shooting splits were much more efficient, granted in only 32 games. He was 37.5%, I think it was, from beyond three-point range, and then 48.2 inside the field. When it comes to, kind of evaluating a signing like this, someone who hasn't played significant minutes, per se, for a team over the past few years, I love looking at the per 36 metrics. If this player would have played 36 minutes a game, for example, what their stats would ultimately equate to. And, this year would have equated to, according to Pro Basketball Reference, 15.3 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game. And then 2023, it would have equated to 21.6 points per game and 5.7 rebounds per game. So the talent's certainly there. He's certainly young. I just don't know where he fits in on this team now. Like you said, given how jam-packed it is and how many players you have competing, he's going to have to earn a roster spot throughout training camp in the preseason, undoubtedly so.
Absolutely. A guy that shot 25% from three just really isn't going to cut it. An effective field goal percentage of 44.2, according to Pro Basketball Reference, which really isn't good compared to some of the other guys that the Nets have stacked up here. Council, a combo 3-2 guy, can play the small forward, sometimes a shooting guard, but when you look at the way he shoots from beyond the arc, that's not really going to help you in that category, especially after the Nets had a very guard-heavy draft. You took guys like Traore, you took guys like Powell, Demon, and Saraf, who are four guys who I could realistically see the Nets giving playing time to ahead of Council. So it's certainly going to be a rough situation or a rough road for him to be able to see the floor. But someone who you can look out for in preseason, entering his third NBA season. He's got a lot to prove, but that's what this Nets team has done. They've brought in guys who have been around the league for a couple years, who haven't worked out in previous situations, but hoping that Brooklyn, a change of scenery and a new environment, can help them out. We've seen it with Zaire Williams in the past, last season, how much that elevated his scenery, and hopefully Ricky Council can be another one of those examples. Is this a guy who you see starting out on Long Island, Connor? Connor, I think you're muted there.
Sorry about that. I don't think he's going to make the team. I don't think there's any room for him on the roster. I think it's training camp body. It's a non-guaranteed deal, so it would be tough to – I don't think he's even allowed to really spend maximum time on Long Island given the outlook, given the way this contract is constructed, I don't expect much out of him. I don't see the upside here. They have so many shooting guards already on this team, especially, the roster's so jam-packed, especially at the shooting guard position. I don't see the room. I don't see the upside here. Don't understand this move from Sean Marks.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher when you look at the Nets offseason so far. When you pick up all four of those team options, when you take 5 rookies, that's 9 spots right there. And then you bring in another body here in Ricky Council the fourth. As you mentioned, Connor was going to have a very tough road to see playing time in Brooklyn this season. So obviously, unless a huge preseason moves mountains for him, it's going to be tough for him to see the floor. Make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe right down below this video. We'll get to those in a second. Road to 500 subscribers. We're right there knocking on the doorstep. I think we're a little over 90 away. So any and all support from you guys out there would be much appreciated. Like and subscribe, both free ways to help out this channel grow significantly, and it helps us reach more members of the Nets community. So we thank you for that. I'll drop questions, comments in the chats. I got 38 of you guys watching right now. Load up your questions. We'll get to those in just a second. Connor, it feels like the preseason is just a couple minutes away. Yesterday we talked about this with Gary, a couple under the radar guys you can make an impact. You talk about a guy like Grant Nelson, who you could see coming in this building and possibly making a bid for that final two-way spot. Does Ricky Council the fourth, does this signing at all move your opinion on that? And is this a contender for a two-way spot?
No, because he can't be a two-way player. The way this contract is constructed, it's a 1-year non-guaranteed deal, so there's no way the Nets can convert this into a two-way contract.
All right, got it. So looks like he's going to be either cut before this season starts or somehow find his way onto the roster, which I highly doubt. Lou says now we have 86 players on the roster. I mean, that's what it feels like at this point. Sean Marks and the front office are going to have a very busy cut down day.
Yeah, there are going to be some tough cuts, whether it's between guys like Keon Johnson and Tyrese Martin and Jalen Wilson and Drew Timme, which 4 of those guys who stays on the roster. Obviously, all 4 of those players, their team options were exercised by Brooklyn earlier this offseason. So there are going to be some tough decisions. There's going to be some consensus decisions, but overall, this roster is pretty packed.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the 4 guys that they did end up picking up the team option on. An interesting guy to me is Tyrese Martin. Personally, I think he has a home in Brooklyn on this team. I think he could make a name for himself if he continues shooting the 3 ball well. I think you have a differentiating opinion on that. But do you see Martin ending up making this roster?
No, I don't. I think these spots are so hard to come by. I'm looking at a guy like Dariq Whitehead, a healthy Dariq Whitehead, who can replace Tyrese Martin and then some more. When Dariq Whitehead is on the floor, we've seen what he is. He's a guy who could shoot the corner 3 very effectively, which is what you want from someone on the bench. Someone who's athletic, someone who's speedy, someone who is agile. I think you get all of those things in Dariq Whitehead. It doesn't make sense for me as to why the Nets would try to roster Tyrese Martin, also given the fact he's 26 years old. What upside is there truly in a 26-year-old at this juncture of his career? So I'm not too high on Tyrese Martin, no.
Lou pops back in. I hope we keep Timme, especially if we trade Claxton, because Sharp can't stay healthy. Fingers crossed he does, though.
You have so much, I like Timme, Lou, and I'm okay keeping Timme. But you still have so many other power forwards and centers. I mean, you have Noah Clowney, who I think we've seen thrive in minimal opportunities. His three-point effectiveness wasn't as great last year, but I think the 3 ball is still there for Clowney. You have Danny Wolf, who you just used a first-round pick on. I'm okay keeping Timme, but there are options that layer behind Day'Ron Sharpe and Nick Claxton on this team.
Yeah, I feel like to me this 4-5 center power forward spot is so clogged up that Timme had a great summer league. I think he'll continue that in the preseason. He had a really good end of the season last year after getting the G League call up to Brooklyn for the last 10 or 15 games. But I just feel like there's guys on this team. You have Claxton for another 3 years. You just paid Day'Ron Sharpe this offseason. You need to see what you have in Noah Clowney. Even if Timme has played well this offseason, even if Jordi Fernandez wants to give him minutes, thinks he deserves it, like, where does his role stand on this team even after a great offseason?
Are you talking about Timme?
Yeah,
Still fighting for a roster spot as training camp approaches. I mean, the odds are stacked against him, given how deep the position is on the depth chart, with especially a lot of young names, a lot of young talent competing for that job there. So he's still gonna have to earn a roster spot. No, preferential treatment for Timmy just because he was here last year, in my opinion.
absolutely. And a ton of guys that still need to earn a roster spot. Make sure you guys go down below this video, smash the like, hit subscribe. Helps us out a ton. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, and then be right back with you here on the Brooklyn Boys Show.
You are listening to the Brooklyn Boys Show with your host, Connor Long. If you're enjoying the show, drop us a sub and leave a like. It helps more Nets fans find us. Quick break, then back to talking Brooklyn Nets basketball.
Today's episode of the Brooklyn Boys Show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Shoreline Sports Cards, located at 137 Main Street in Port Washington, New York. Whether you're chasing the newest hobby boxes, grabbing singles, or just want to talk cards with fellow collectors, Shoreline is the spot. They've got a massive selection across basketball, football, baseball, and more, with new inventory hitting the shelves every single week. If you're local, make sure to stop by the shop at 137 Main Street in Port Washington and check it out for yourself. If you're not in the area, no worries at all. You can still keep up with Shoreline by following them on Instagram, eBay, and whatnot for product drops, live breaks, deals, and hobby updates. All links are right in the description down below. Huge thanks to Shoreline Sports Cards for supporting the show and the Brooklyn Nets community.
You're watching the Brooklyn Boys Show live on YouTube alongside the great Connor Long. I am Josh Woolever here with you on this beautiful first day of August. We are 2 weeks away from the schedule release, which is August 14th. So 2 weeks away from that, that'll be a big date. Again, the biggest news out of the Nets world today, Ricky Council IV, the newest signing. Connor, we talked about how jam-packed this Nets roster is, how many guys you could look at, from any angle of it, and talk about how they could or could not make the roster. But who is someone who is under the radar, who you don't think, who many don't think has a chance to make this roster, but you're looking at could make a significant impact?
I think the roster is what the roster is. I mean, when you talk about a sneaky name to make the roster, I think we all understand kind of what this depth chart is. I don't think there are any surprise names. Someone who I think could make an impact, I've spoken about him a ton, though, is Dariq Whitehead. I really think a healthy Dariq Whitehead is someone who's an effective bench piece in the NBA. I'm super intrigued to see what he can do this year, given the fact that this is an organization that spent a first-round pick on him just a few years ago. A healthy Dariq Whitehead in the NBA is something we haven't seen yet, and I think it could do wonders to Brooklyn's bench.
Do you think that Coach Jordy is going to value getting vets on the court, getting that vet presence out there with a guy like Keon Johnson, rather than giving Dariq Whitehead as many minutes as it sounds like you would like to give him?
He's going to value whoever gives the team the best chance of winning. That's the message that Jordy Fernandez has sent. I think he's going to put the best 5 players on the floor who he thinks gives this team the best chance to win. So if it's Keon Johnson, he'll put Keon Johnson on the floor. But if it's Dariq Whitehead, he'll put Dariq Whitehead out there. I think he's going to put the 5 best players on the floor who he thinks ultimately give Brooklyn the best chance of winning.
Timothy Park comes in with the chat. Sean Marks has the more the merrier attitude. And I feel like at this point where the Nets stand right now, if you can add a guy who probably won't make the roster, but has an outside shot, at this point, to me, we're in a why not boat. The Nets have truly nothing to lose with this addition of Ricky Council. Obviously, I don't think you think that he makes a significant impact for this team. But Timothy, you're right that it really doesn't matter if the Nets go out there and add these players that don't end up having a huge role on this team. As long as the Nets say, okay, well, we got our fair shot at this guy. We thought we had something with him. Didn't turn out well. His preseason wasn't good enough for us. There is nothing to lose when you go in with the mindset that everyone's got a shot to make this roster, and that everyone, bringing in more guys could only help this team, not hurt it.
I actually disagree. I think you only have 20 spots on a training camp roster, only have 20 spots on a preseason roster. You have to outvalue every single one of them. Like, I would really like to see a guy like Killian Hayes on the roster. He's in Long Island this year. He's someone who made an impact during minimal games in Brooklyn last year. Former first-round pick, lottery pick, still 24 years old, got you a plus rating whenever you asked him to do last year. I disagree with that statement. I think Brooklyn should be trying to value every single one of these training camp spots rather than hand them out on the free agent market here. I'd really like to see a guy like Killian Hayes come in and see what he could do is try to establish himself in the preseason. It looked like that opportunity gets taken away as you try to add guys the same age as Killian Hayes, never had the same draft type as Hayes, and someone who is not nearly as established in the league.
I mean, the Nets still do have 2 more training camp spots
One
left.
spot, and that
But
spot's going to
Cam
go to Cam
Thomas,
Thomas.
I think they have 2 left.
They have one. They've used 19 out of the 20 spots now. Cam Thomas is the last one to use that spot.
Oh, okay. I thought they had 2 more, so I guess I'm mistaken there. But I understand bringing a guy like Hayes back into the building, but to me, if the Nets think this guy's a better chance of making this roster outside of draft type, like what does Killian Hayes do for you here?
What does Killian Hayes do for you? He showed playmaking prowess last year in the league. He got you 5-10 points a night when you gave him. He was a plus defender. He gave you a plus rating overall. He was all around a better player, way more efficient shooting splits compared to a guy like Ricky Council, who has never had the ceiling, never had the hype that Killian Hayes once had, has been more inefficient, hasn't been nearly as great as a playmaker. And overall, I believe Killian Hayes is a far better basketball player.
A very fair assessment of Hayes. What I would say about Council is, he never really had that true opportunity. He needs to be a better 3-point shooter, and I don't think that this is the point in his career where he steps that up to be a true shooting threat.
But you were arguing at first that you think there's not much of a difference between the two, and you think that Council brings more upside, correct?
I was not arguing that I thought Council brings more upside, but I was arguing that I thought that it didn't really matter who Sean Marks brought into the building at this point. It's whoever has the biggest chance to make the roster. And to me, it really doesn't matter who that last spot is given to, as long as it's the guy that they believe could bring the most impact to this roster. So if Sean Marks believes that is, if he believes
Since when
that's
were we
Ricky
trusting
Council,
Sean Marks's evaluation of a prospect or a player, Josh?
I mean, I'll be the first to tell you I hated Sean Marks' draft, and he's definitely made questionable decisions over the years. But what I will say is there's 2 situations here: a complete draft bust who had to get cut from the Pistons because he could bring them 0 value, and you have another guy in Council who gets waived by the Sixers. He has the potential. He could be a good, guy in terms of bodying into the paint, getting you a couple assists every night. I don't want him to shoot threes for this team because he was a terrible 3-point shooter. I think it was 25% was the number, but Hayes is not much better at this point.
He's still better. Killian Hayes in 6 games in Brooklyn last year. Granted, it was a small sample size. Still averaged 27 minutes a night, by the way. Still don't understand that move, all you Net fans in the chat, why they, especially in a year where they were attempting to tank down the stretch, they realized it too late. I have no understanding as to why you didn't play Killian Hayes over D'Angelo Russell. Get it's a minimum sample size. 27 minutes per game last year. He averaged 9 points per game, 5.2 assists, 38.1% from downtown, 41.9% from inside the field. I take that upside any day, especially given the fact he was a lottery pick. Josh, Zaire Williams was a lottery bust at this time last year, and now look at what everyone's saying about him. You got to give these guys second chances. You got to give them opportunities to thrive in the real scheme, in a scheme that fits them. Do I ever think Killian Hayes will be a number 1 through 5 option on a championship team? Absolutely not. Can he still be a role player, showcase his playmaking ability, his athleticism, his prowess, ultimately why he was first thought of as a lottery pick? Absolutely.
What I will say about those 7 games is, were those not the most 7 meaningless games of the season? Like, the Nets were knocked out of the playoffs by now. By then, it was the end of the season.
More valuable than Drew Timmy's games. They were more towards the middle of the season than Drew Timmy's games.
Yeah.
Efficient shooting doesn't grow on trees, Josh. Like, I don't care where it is in the season. Like, to be an efficient shooter, to average 5 assists per game and almost score in double figures every night is a very valuable asset to a team.
Give me the shooting splits from the field.
Shooting splits from the field last year, 41.9% from the field, 38.1% from 3. averaged
38 from 3 raised eyeballs, but did he not make 2-point shots? Like, that sounds like he was 38% from 3 is awesome, but 41% from the field is not.
his 2-point percentage was 45.5. So he's still very efficient from inside the two, from shooting 2-pointers.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm gonna pull up his G League stats here too while we speak. He was in the G League. He was
Yeah, that seems like a more fair comparison considering he did not spend
G League last
close
year.
to any
Pretty
time in Brooklyn.
much confirms what he did at the NBA level. 20.8 points per game, 5.4 rebounds a game, 7.5 assists per game.
That's big.
Don't understand why this guy hasn't had an opportunity to compete with this team. Proof is in the pudding right there. 48.2% from the field in the G League, 41.7 from downtown. Former lottery pick, 24 years old. Net fans, why isn't Killian Hayes getting an opportunity? I don't understand it. Questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Smash the like button and hit subscribe. Don't understand it. Do not.
It was a huge. What I will say is, I think the Nets are hoping for Council to grow on his rookie season. It was a huge fall off. He went from shooting 37% from deep to 25%. He went from shooting almost 48% from the field to 38% from the field.
Well, he played like
everything
double games
regressed.
too. His rookie season, he barely even played. So
it was 32 games, so it was a smaller sample size. But let's say you can get this guy to grow on what he did back in that rookie season, and
I think his rookie season was a product of playing no minutes. That's the way I view his rookie season.
It was 10 a game. So
yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah.
10 a game through 32 games is virtually nothing when it comes to evaluating a sample size like that at the NBA level.
I guess Sean Marks is banking on somehow growing that talent. Back to your comments, questions, concerns from the chat. Let's see. BC says go Lakers. All right. That's fair.
No. That's fair. Coming from a Nets fan, allowing go Lakers in the chat is wild, in my opinion.
What am I going to do? Say he can't be a Lakers fan?
We'll say fair. I mean, this is a big Nets show here. I mean, I appreciate you tuning in, BC. I've known you for a long time since you started tuning into the Jet shows a while ago, but appreciate the support. But we can't just let it go Lakers fly like that. Absolutely not. Have fun with Dorian Finney-Smith. Hopefully you could take Nick Claxton off our hands.
Dorian Finney-Smith.
I'll buy out Gabe Vincent from you in a Claxton trade. I'll take your 2032 first-round pick. Thank you very much.
I'll take Rui Hachimura in that reported Nick Claxton deal that we caught.
Oh, I would not want to go near Rui Hachimura, Josh.
Why not? What's the contract? Is the contract bad?
The contract. Well, first, the contract isn't great, and second, he's another aging veteran. He's 27 years old. He's an aging veteran role player who averaged 13 points per game last year. He's like Terrence Mann. He's a 3-year, $51 million contract. He's on the last year of it. I would want nothing to do with Rui Hachimura. I would, if the Nets added him, I would.
It clears at the end of this season. What's the AAV?
The AAV is $18 million.
I mean, 51% from the field, 42 from 3, like 77 at the charity stripe. This is not a bad player at all. I would take Rui Hachimura in a first for Nick Claxton, please.
I mean, where does he play on this team? He's not taking.
It's not even about like what kind of impact he makes from this team. It's about moving on and having Day'Ron Sharpe be the starting center.
But you're just talking about how much you'd love to have him. So like, what role do you expect him to play then if the Nets?
Starting at the 4, possibly flexing MPJ to the 3. Possibly flexing MPJ to the 3.
MPJ's a 4 in my eyes. I'd start pretty much. I'd start Zaire over Rui Hachimura. I would start. BC pointed out there. You can't. These are terrible rebounder. I was just about to say that. Yeah, you can't have a 4 who can't rebound for you. I'd prioritize MPJ. Prioritize Zaire. I'd prioritize Dariq Whitehead. I'd put him in the same boat.
Dariq Whitehead?
Absolutely. Who do you care more about? Trying to maximize a first-round pick from 2 years ago who hasn't been able to stay healthy and now is healthy and has an opportunity to actually contribite to your organization.
But he's not going to play at the 4, so why would it matter?
I'm talking generally overall.
Okay. That's fair.
In the starting lineup. I view Rui Hachimura the same as I view Terrence Mann. No interest at all. Give me.
Would you take it to get Claxton
No.
out?
No, I'd say give me Gabe Vincent. I wouldn't. I would not want anything to do with Hachimura on my team. I'd say give me Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber maybe if you want. I'll just buy both of their contracts out right now. Give me a first round pick and I'm fine.
My dream would be Dalton Connect, but I think there's no way that Los Angeles would let me have that.
Why would they trade a first round pick from last year? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense for them in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I saw it in a mock from Bleacher Report a month ago or so, but that doesn't seem to be happening. After the catastrophe that the Nets offseason was. Let's see here. It's very important to have stability in the coaching staff. How committed is Sean Marks to Jordy Fernandez? Will he get a multi-year contract?
One thing I will add before we reply to Claude's comment, and again, keep the questions, comments, thoughts coming in the chat. We're going to get to all of those. Do you just say the Nets had a catastrophe of an offseason?
It wasn't good. Yeah.
It was a catastrophe?
Catastrophe is a stretch. I didn't like it. I thought it was really
I'd give it a B.
So, a B?
Absolutely.
Why? I thought they completely.
You added someone who's going to average over 20 points per
they-
game and 8 rebounds for you this season, and Michael Porter Jr. You added another first-round pick, in which I thought was an incredible deal to get Cam Johnson out of town, and the draft, some of the picks, and like you got your starting point guard and facilitator for the season. You got someone who could develop into your starting shooting guard in a few years. You added one of the most lethal, catch and shoot threats in the league, and you added a power forward who can move like a point guard. Like,
I mean, to me, you've completely botched the Cam Thomas situation. Now he doesn't even want to be a net next year. It seems like.
How have they botched it, though? Like, seriously,
how has he botched it? How has Sean Marks botched the Cam Thomas situation?
Yes,
because he could have gotten that deal done at any time.
Not at the fair rate.
Cam Thomas, there's no competing market for him at all.
Correct. As to why Sean Marks is handling this situation perfectly by not giving any leverage, saying this is exactly what you're worth. The leverage is all in our court right now. You have nowhere to go. Nobody is interested in signing you. We can match any offer you get. It's clear he hasn't gotten any offers. I think Sean Marks has done an incredible job handling this situation here.
You wouldn't have rather just gotten it out of the way?
No.
Like, agreed to terms earlier, has basketball first and foremost on his mind, and is ready to hit training camp in stride.
Depends on what's the deal.
Right, like a reasonable deal.
What's a reasonable deal?
I would say 2 years, 20 a year, but
20 a year for someone who just played 20,
18 a year.
So went from 20 to 18 a year. The Nets offered him $14 million a year, which I think is more than fair of an asking price. 20 a year for Cam Thomas, I think, is way too high in my opinion.
They're just going to eat the space anyways.
But that doesn't mean you dish out money that doesn't mean you just dish out a lucrative amount of money, a copious amount of money to someone who doesn't deserve it, for example. I think the Nets can certainly make a move. They can add Jonathan Kuminga and eat all of that space. I don't think Cam Thomas deserves to make more money because the Nets have more cap space. That's not how the market's working. You look at how all the other teams are handling their restricted free agents. They're doing it exactly the same way Brooklyn is.
Yeah, but what I would say about that is, if you want to keep Cam Thomas even past this contract, if you want him as your third contract, if you really believe in him like I do, what I would tell you is that the further you drag this out, the less he wants to come back to Brooklyn when this contract has expired, the less he wants to be friends with you down the line.
How much leverage does he have?
Right. Like, he doesn't, because nobody has the salary cap to be able to dish out the contract.
This is someone who's played with Kyrie Irving, who's played with Kevin Durant. You don't think he's taking a page out of their negotiation tactics and all the gymnastics that they would pull out, for lack of a better term, each offseason when they were up for a new deal? This is someone who's trying to be stingy, who's trying to squeeze every single penny he can get out. The bottom line is he's not going anywhere. He just played 25 games last season. He hasn't proven to be a valuable threat in the playoffs on a contending team. Nets have all the leverage here. The Nets are handling this nicely, in my opinion.
To go back to your original take, you think they handled the draft well?
Not certain picks. I mean, if you go on a pick by pick basis, I think they had a great draft. I think that not great. I think they had a solid draft.
See, I would disagree with you. I think they reached
How?
twice. I think they took a guy in Dioman who you could easily get post lottery. I think
He's still your starting point guard, though. Like
he's
you have
still
to
your starting point
you
guard,
have to
but
view
there's
you have to view
5
them on
guys I would have rather had over him at that point in
who?
the draft.
Who name me the 5 guys?
I would have rather had a Senge. I would have rather had Maluwach. I think he has some of the most upside in this draft. I would have probably rather had Queen. Uh, some of these centers is assuming you move on from
So
Claxton.
Malawatch and Queen both wouldn't have started on this team this season.
I said
Um,
assuming you move on from Claxton.
even if you move on from Claxton, there's a chance neither one of those guys would have started on this team this year. Dayron Sharp, Noah
I
Clowney,
disagree. I think
Michael Porter Jr.
I think you spend the 8th overall pick on Kuman Malawach and he gets the nod.
Okay, so you can say potentially Malawatch. Again, chances are he potentially doesn't even start on this team this year. The Nets added someone who's going to facilitate this offense, who's going to dish out the ball, who, if he's able to develop a three-point shot, which I'm very confident in Yegor Gioman being able to do such a thing, he's going to be a very good point guard in this league.
He
I
really
didn't
was not a good 3-point shooter, though.
But again, it goes beyond percentages. It goes to analyzing the film. It goes to seeing the system that he's going to go into. I think Yegor is able to develop into a very, very solid shooter in the league. He has great form, takes his time, sets his feet, great stance overall. I trust that the Nets shooting coach, the Nets coaching staff in the shooting facet has been able to turn around several players over the past few years, increase 3-point percentages immensely. And I think that's what Yegor is able to do. At BYU, his job wasn't to shoot the ball. They didn't let him shoot the 3-ball. I think the Nets are going to cater to his skill set.
To me, the 27% speaks loud enough for itself. And,
but again, it goes
I sure
beyond
hope
stats.
you're right. I sure hope you're right that they are able to
beyond
develop
stats too.
What?
It goes beyond stats. Like
I know, I understand. I agree. I hope they're able to develop him. I hope he can be a true one for this team and be the primary ball handler. And I really, first of all, I really hope they don't move him to the 3, which we had that discussion. I think it was last night. But I absolutely hope you're right. I'm not terribly confident that he comes into the building and just starts and turns it around and starts shooting well from 3. Now we can finally move on to this comment from Claude. Focusing on individual skills of individual players is a small part of building a team. Training camp and preseason will produce some of the answers concerning roster construction.
I don't think the preseason is going to solve much other than whether like Ricky Council or Tyrese Martin make the team. I don't put much stock into preseason. I mean, one of the games they're not even playing an NBA team, which I think is a complete joke. And I know it's like a tradition now that they do every year. I think that's completely insane. I think you only have a certain amount of preseason games. You should be playing against NBA teams. You should be playing against NBA caliber players. I mean, if you want to add another preseason game and do that for fun, like how the Jets do the Jet fans out there do the green and white scrimmage every year, and that doesn't count. It's a preseason game. Like, okay, do that, but what do they have? 3-4 preseason games. Every single one of those games should be against NBA
I
teams.
think it's 5. Let me check the schedule.
On a side note, every single one should be against NBA teams, in my opinion. No questions asked. I'm looking at it for the roster bubble guys. Like, I'm not going to be watching. Dariq Whitehead's a bad example. I'm not going to be watching who's a complete roster lock. I'm thinking that, see, this is the problem with this team. There are no true roster locks who aren't rookies at this point. I was going to say Cam Thomas. I'm not looking at, Nick Claxton and seeing what he's doing immensely. Same goes for Dayron Sharp. Preseason, in my opinion, is more for the roster bubble guys and the rookies to stack up against NBA caliber competition.
According to the Nets site, they only have 3 preseason games.
And one of them isn't even against an NBA team.
Yeah,
right?
it's against an Israeli team called Hapoel Jerusalem. One of them is against the Phoenix Suns in China. Though that one they might be playing 2 games against the Suns. Then they Then they go to Toronto to play the Raptors on the 17th. Yeah, so they have 2 against the Suns in China, the 10th and the 12th. So that's 4 games right there. So they're only going to end up playing 1 preseason game in Brooklyn at the Barclays.
It's not even against an NBA team.
2 in, pardon my language, Macau, China. I did not say that right.
Macau, China.
Macau, China. And then they go to Toronto to play the Raptors. So
The start time, jeez, 7 a.m. start time for one of the games.
that's
Oh my
not
god, I'm gonna be at school for the. Oh my god, one of the games starts at 8 a.m. and I'm gonna be at school for that. Oh my
What's
god.
the date on? The 10th or the 12th?
Friday, October 10th. Is there some holiday that week or? I
I
mean,
don't think so.
why would the NBA schedule? The NBA ratings have been down over the past year enough. It doesn't make much sense to me as to why they would schedule a preseason
Oh,
game on a.
we have the Columbus Day holiday on the 12th.
Hey, so we have off.
October 12th. United States celebrated as Columbus Day, baby. Put it in the books.
Is that
We
even?
will
Is that
wake
even
up
what it's
early.
called? Oh, I somehow I have school that day and I've off the Monday.
Ooh, that's tough. I will not have school that day. I don't think.
All right,
there's no way
sorry.
they make
Not
that
going to be the
school.
worst thing missing a Nets preseason game. It's like I'd much rather. And they're playing an NBA team, so I would have loved to watch that. I'm only going to be watching the one against the non NBA team because we're going to do coverage for the show. But like that's a joke in my opinion. Like if the Nets don't win by 50 points, that 50 is obviously an
They
exaggeration.
played an Israeli team last year. Let me look up the final score.
They had to have won by at least 30.
I think it was a big blowout.
Yeah, like see, like what's the point of even doing that? Seriously, like I know the NBA is always trying to grow nationally, but there's other ways you could do that. Like 2 NBA teams playing a preseason game in China is a way to do that. Like,
Nets announced a rare preseason schedule with no home games against an NBA team. Wow. Yeah.
are you? I mean,
Okay,
if the
so
tickets
last
are
time
cheap enough, I'd go to
they
that.
played an Israeli team in an exhibition game, Maccabi Rana, in the 23-24 preseason.
And what was the score of that?
It was a blowout. Let me look.
See, if it's not competitive either, I don't get the point of playing an international team. Like these are games that every single roster bubble player needs to leverage to their advantage, that needs to use to show NBA general managers that they are
135-103. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh my god, what are we doing here, NBA? What are we
Connor,
doing?
think about it. The Nets only play 2 games against separate teams because they double up against the Suns. So
one of them's not even an NBA team. What a joke.
yeah. Wow. They play 3 NBA games. They play 3 preseason teams against an NBA teams. And then they only play 2 against separate teams. We're going to get to know the end of the Phoenix Suns bench pretty well.
Yuta Watanabe reunion, maybe. I mean, I think
he was a Sun.
I think he's in Phoenix right now. I believe he was there. He was there last year. I believe he's returning again this season. But yeah, preseason's still a long way to go. About 2 months until the preseason really kicks off, and then perfect. The Sunday. So you got Sunday, October 12th, Saturday, October 4th, Friday, October 10th, and then another Friday, October 17th. Sunday could be interesting. Oh my God, we're gonna have to Sunday. Listen to this, Josh. It's gonna be an early wake up call for us because Sunday, October 12th, the Nets play the Suns at 7 a.m. EST in the preseason
in China.
And then the Jets play the Broncos in London at 9:30 a.m.
Wow! So we are going to have quite the early morning of sports.
I'm not doing the postgame show that day, guaranteed.
I don't blame you. Is there any chance you're still going to London for that Broncos game, or is that?
I'm not going this year. I was if they had made the playoffs last year, I would have gone. But I said, my parents are like, "You want to go to any games this year?" Talking about the Jets here, I said, "They win games, sure, but in the meantime, absolutely not. No interest in giving the Jets any money until they win." Same goes for the Nets. A Nets person called me the other day about tickets. I always
rep?
calls a sales rep.
Yep.
And they were trying to sell me on packages and single games. And I said, you know what? I'll make you a deal. Win games and I'll buy a package. That's the deal. If you win games, I will buy a package.
Do you sign yourself up for those people to be able to bill you, or they just started calling you out of the blue, hoping Connor Long will pull up to
ticket reps bill me as I don't go to any net games, but they do they call me sometimes, and I say, I told the Jets rep the same thing: win games, and I will be there. Win games first before you ask for my money. That's the deal.
We'll begin to wrap up here on the show if you haven't already. 87 of you watching, make sure you drop down below this video. Smash the like, hit subscribe, on the road to 500 subscribers. So we appreciate all your support. Claude gives the drafts a C- and also says the pressure is on Diomand to succeed in the NBA or he'll end up as a soldier fighting. Okay. All right. Well, that's one way to think about it. Connor, as we
If
wrap
he's able
up
to shoot the
here.
three ball, he'll be fine. If he's able to shoot the three ball, he's a top 10 NBA point guard. That's a ceiling in my opinion.
Mm.
If not, he's an end of the bench guy. He can't do much for you. That's going to be the ultimatum of his career.
Nets need someone who can dish the ball around like was Cam Johnson's role last year, but obviously off the roster. As we begin to wrap up, Connor, any final thoughts maybe on the Ricky Council, the fourth signing, or anything else to do with the Nets right now?
Go Nets, baby. Appreciate it. Road to 500. Subscribe, like, daily content here. See you guys. What's tomorrow? Saturday? We'll do a show tomorrow. See you guys Saturday.
Tomorrow is Saturday. He's Connor Long. I'm Josh Woolever for the Brooklyn Boys Show. We appreciate you all tuning in here on the 1st of August. We will see you all tomorrow and on the next one. Smash that like, hit subscribe. We'll leave you as we always do with one final Nets chant. Let's go Nets. Good night, everybody.